All right, let's just jump straight into it. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a topic that, let's be honest, always ruffles a few feathers. We're looking at why some of the absolute most hyped, heavily marketed laptop brands in 2026 might not actually deserve your hard-earned cash. You know the ones. We see the slick commercials, the flashy billboards, but when you strip away all that branding, what are you actually paying for? Today, we're counting down the top 3 most overrated laptop brands of the year, using real data and user feedback to separate that marketing fantasy from daily reality.
Real quick, before we hit the countdown, we need to be crystal clear on what we mean here. Overrated does not mean these brands only make garbage laptops. Not at all. It simply means they are completely overhyped compared to what you actually get. They're priced or praised way higher than their actual real-world value. It all boils down to that crucial ratio of what you pay versus what you actually experience when you open the lid.
The folks over at RTNS really hit the nail on the head here. As modern buyers, we've got to look past the flashy marketing. We need to zero in on real-world metrics, things like reliability, cooling, repairability, and long-term value. Because honestly, those are the things that actually impact your day-to-day. A shiny logo isn't going to save your laptop from overheating right in the middle of a massive project, right? And it definitely won't make it cheaper to fix when something inevitably breaks. So, keeping that framework in mind, let's get into the countdown.
Coming in at number 3, HP, and the issue of inconsistent quality.
So look, HP definitely makes some decent machines. Their top-tier stuff can be totally solid. But the reason they land on the overrated list is this massive, incredibly frustrating gap between those premium models and their budget or mid-range consumer lines. If you dive into the vast pools of user feedback on Reddit, you'll see buyers of their cheaper lines running into a physical nightmare. We're talking weak hinges that literally snap, cheap plastic build quality, terrible overheating, and systems that just mysteriously bog down over time. It just proves that the slick marketing you see looks way more impressive than the actual machine sitting on your desk. You think you're buying into the reputation of their top-tier rigs, but you end up with a plastic disaster.
Moving on to number 2, Alienware, and the incredibly high brand tax.
The contrast here is honestly pretty wild. On one hand, you've got the hype. Alienware undeniably looks incredible, right? You've got those aggressive sci-fi designs, RGB lights everywhere, and massive performance claims. But then, you hit reality. Reports from recent discussions on Games Radar Plus highlight a pretty stark truth for 2026. Gamers are paying an extreme brand tax. You're getting hit with astronomical prices for these super heavy laptops that often have incredibly loud fans and frustrating heat issues. Basically, a lot of people feel the brand is surviving on its legacy right now, especially when competitors like Lenovo Legion, Asus ROG, and Razer are offering much better actual value, and even outperforming them in display tech, completely without that crazy brand tax. And finally, taking the number 1 spot, Apple MacBooks and the monumental MacBook hype.
Okay, hold on. Before you throw your keyboard across the room, let's just acknowledge reality for a second. MacBooks are objectively great devices. Fantastic battery life, premium designs, amazing speakers. They perform beautifully. But it really begs the question, is it status or is it performance? Are buyers actually paying for their daily needs, or are they just paying to show off a status symbol? Because let's be totally real. Not everyone sitting in a coffee shop with a MacBook Pro is editing the next Hollywood blockbuster. Yet they're absolutely paying Hollywood-level prices.
And that brings us to the hidden Apple tax. Backed by recent reports from Yahoo Tech, we see that Apple is charging just exorbitant premiums for basic upgrades that honestly should be standard in 2026. You want a little more RAM? Highly expensive. Need more storage space? Extremely expensive. And what happens when the thing actually breaks? Well, Yahoo Tech reports show Apple ranks among the absolute least repairable laptop brands out there. They are notoriously difficult and costly to fix. The hype surrounding MacBooks is huge for sure, but when you factor in the sheer cost of basic upgrades and the nightmare of repairing them, the hype simply outpaces the reality of the value you're actually getting.
Before we wrap, let's look at a few honorable mentions, pushing that high price versus value boundary.
Reviewers over at The Verge have pointed out that premium models from Samsung Galaxy Books, MSI, Dell XPS, and Microsoft Surface are also drawing a lot of criticism lately. Why? Well, because their pricing is locking up your wallet while increasingly outpacing their real-world value and repairability. Look, when the price tag gets way too high compared to what competitors offer for the exact same specs, a brand officially crosses over into overrated territory. It's kind of this growing trend across the premium laptop space, and it's something buyers really need to watch out for.
So how do we focus on what matters and avoid the hype?
How do you actually protect your wallet and avoid wasting cash on a flashy logo? This checklist right here is your ultimate defense mechanism. Seriously, you need to ignore the brand name entirely. Just pretend there's a piece of tape over the logo and evaluate the laptop strictly using this 5-step checklist to find the machine that actually works for you. Step 1. Verify the cooling. Is it going to sound like a jet engine when you open a spreadsheet? Step 2. Check reliability. What are real users actually saying after 6 months of using it? Step 3. Research repairability. Can you fix it if the battery dies, or is the whole thing glued shut? Step 4. Test the battery life against your actual daily routine. And finally, Step 5. Confirm real-world performance, not just the marketing claims. Because at the end of the day, the absolute best laptop brand in the world is simply the one that gets your work done without getting in your way.
All right, that brings us to the end of our analysis. But now I want to turn it over to you. Which laptop brand do you think is the absolute most overrated in 2026? Did we get it right, or is there a massive one we totally missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We love reading your takes, especially if you strongly disagree. And hey, make sure to subscribe so you can catch our next explainer where we flip the script and dive into the most reliable laptop brands in 2026. You definitely won't want to miss that one. Thanks for learning with us today.